to this one. So today we are going to be talking about introduction to C# still, but we'll be moving further from where we were the other time. We'll be going to GroundZero. So yeah, so I'll be talking about actually looking. GroundZero for me is a program that that is a complete C# program, but it does not do anything. So I'm going to be, I hope we have all installed Visual Studio 2017, Visual Studio Express. Have we done that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Who has not done it? Who has not done the installation of Visual Studio? So today I will be using this .NET Video. Can you all see my screen? Please just put your mic on and tell me if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to be using this site, .NETvideo.net. Is actually as I told us the last time, for us to be able to work with any language, we need three major tools. We need a note-taking text editor. We need a text editor. We need a compiler, and we need the debugger at the minimum. So this online tool contains all the three. And then, so with it, it's easy for us to just demonstrate any language feature that we need to demonstrate. And if you want to actually look at the language, of course, you can also go there and test it. But this will not create your output. So for you to create an executable file that you can then make available to others to use, you need to use the Visual Studio integrated development environment, which is the one that I recommended for us. So that is that. So we are going to, so GroundZero is essentially a set of C# code which does everything that a C# code should do, but it does not, which contains everything that a C# code should contain, but does not do anything. So that is what we are looking at today. And so the C#, so I usually call that GroundZero. How you will typically do it, the code that goes into GroundZero is this code here. I'm going to just take it and I'm going to talk about it in the IDE. So this is the integrated development, this is the online editor that I'm going to be using. So last week I talked to us about curly braces, and I talked to us about semicolons. We discussed about blocks. So we are going to go into operation, into action with the GroundZero code. So I will want each and every one of us to note this set of code that we have here. This is what I call GroundZero. So ultimately, when I run this program, the result of the program will be displayed in this section. So there are three sections to this that I want you to concentrate on. The first section is this section, which is like your text editor. It's like your notepad, which is like notepad is this is notepad, this section is like your screen, your console screen, and this section tells you things about how long it takes for your program to run, how much memory it has used, and other things. So I'm going to be using this for demonstrating, for looking at the language, and for showing you what happened. So what happens when you use the GroundZero code? This is the GroundZero code that I talk so much about. What happens when you use the GroundZero zone is if you run it, so you run the program, it runs appropriately, but it does not do anything. What you are seeing here right now, this program is expecting an input. which is a result of this line. So we just put that line there to stop the program at that point. That is what this program is doing. This program works properly. It generates an executable file, but it does not do anything. I call it GroundZero. It's like your running program that does nothing. So it's GroundZero because it's like a container for your entire thoughts and features, but it doesn't do anything. It's like a plain ground on which we are going to build whatever. So is this one that we are going to look at, and we're going to explain what are contained therein before we move forward. Okay, so like I said the other time, I said that the C# so a C# program is made up of a collection of statements, and statements are grouped into blocks. So at the beginning, the first thing I want you to note at is this is the outside block, which is this. So let's change this and call it namespace training, for instance. So namespace, with that you can give it any name you want, but the first block you see there, so this is the beginning of the block, and this is the closing of the block. So a block is made up of, a block is a container for other blocks or for other statements, and the most top level of the block is known as the namespace block. The thing about namespace blocks is that namespace block can transcend files. So you can have the same namespace, you can have many files that are that are bound together within the same namespace. And the second, so our line number 1 is that namespace training, and that's this block. So the beginning of the block is line number 2, which contains the opening curly brace, and line 13, which contains the closing curly brace. But the thing I want you to note about this program is that it works properly, but it doesn't do anything. So it's working, still working, it's still expecting. The only thing it does is it's expecting an input. So if I do that, it stops. That's the program has ended. You can then see how long it ran. So how long, the compile time, how long it takes to compile. The execution time is 0. The memory space is 0. The CPU space is 0. So it doesn't do nothing. It does nothing. It compiles in about 0.141 second. So it doesn't even take up to a second to compile. So compilation is the time it takes the compiler to translate the code, the source code, into executable code. Don't forget that during our previous discussion, we're talking about source code, which is this file. So source code is what human beings can read. Executable code is what the computer can run. So there are generally 3 types of code that you'll be thinking about. We have the source code, which is what human beings can read. We have the executable code which computer can run. And intermediately, we have what is called object code as well, which is actually that code what compilers and assemblers deal with. So looking at this source code, we are talking about the first block. So we say that a block has an opening brace and a closing brace. Just like in mathematics, you have the opening bracket and the closing bracket. In that same way, we have the blocks. Blocks have the opening, and if you miss the closing, let's say we miss the closing like that, we cannot run this program if there's an error. It's compilation error. It's telling us that there's something expected. So this is a bug. We'll correct it by providing that. So that's why I said last time that one of the audience that as a developer you have to satisfy is your compiler. If you don't satisfy the compiler, your program will never run. Let's say instead of read line, we had read line. We had this here. You will immediately see something is happening here. Console does not exist. It's telling us that it doesn't know what we are talking about. So your first audience that you must satisfy is your compiler. So we are satisfying this compiler. We are satisfying this guy by giving it exactly what it needs. The only way you can give it exactly what it needs is by understanding exactly how the language works and what are the facilities available within the language. Okay, so if any of these things is not correct, you will see error. It will show you immediately that there is error. So the first namespace, the first block we're talking about is the namespace block, which is this. Thereafter, we have other namespace blocks. We have the class block. So if you see the class, if you go to line 6 and line 7, you see the class. So you see public class. I'm going to explain what all of those things mean. But first, I'm talking to you about the block. So the first block is the namespace block. The second is the class block. And the third is the method block. So in here, if you look here, you will see the closing brace for the class block is on line 12. So line 7 and line 12, line 7 and line 12 are related. Okay? Line 7 and line 12 are related. Line 9 and line 11 are related. So we have in this place, we have 3 blocks. The first block is the namespace block. The second block is the class block, and the third block is the method block. So those are the 3 blocks that we have. The opening block for the method block is 9, and the closing is 11. The opening block for the class block is 7. The closing is 12. The opening block for the namespace block is 2, and the closing one is 14. So I hope now you understand what we mean by block. There are definitely different other type of blocks. We have if you have the if statement block, when you have if statement, when we get there, you will get it. The while, the do while, all of these things are block. But don't forget what we said. A block is a collection of statements that is treated as if it is one statement. So everything from here to here is actually regarded by the computer as just one statement. Therefore, it must be always correct. Okay? So if you have anyone with any question, now you can ask. Do you have any questions so far? Any question, you can put back on and just ask a question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, you said the second block is the public class block.
Yes, the class block. I called it class block, this one, line 6.
Yes, but the contents of line 6, the block, the public class block.
Yeah.
Starts from line 6. Is that correct? 6 to 12.
Yes, it's 6 to 12. The name of the class is there, but we are talking about the closing block and the opening block, and the opening block and the closing block, which is line 7 and line 12.
Yeah, so, but you said a few minutes ago that the contents of the class block is from 4. You highlighted from 4. So I don't know.
No, I'm talking about the contents of the namespace block. That's the one. It's not actually line 4. It's from line 12 to line 14. Everything in between there are treated as one statement. They are part of the namespace. But for the class, everything from line 7 to line 12 go into that class. And then for the method, everything from line 8 to line 11 go into that. So the beginning of the block is the opening brace, and the closing of it curly brace, and the closing of it is the closing curly brace. That's what I'm trying to draw your attention to. So thereafter, we move now to statements, the statements that are there. The first statement there is actually line 4. Line 4 is a statement telling us that we are going to be using an existing library. So this system is a library. It's a library that we are using. Why are we using this library? If let's say we comment out this, we have an exception. So commenting out is actually making the program to not run a particular set of programs. It's called comment. We will talk about that presently. Let's say we comment out that line. You will begin to see that there's an error here. So this thing we are using here, we are drawing it from a library. We are drawing it from a system library. The alternative way to deal with this is actually to call this system dot. So if we do system dot like that, if we do this, the exception will go, and then we don't need the using statement. So the using statement simply means we are using an existing library. So if we do this, so there's an existing library. Of course, as I was discussing with us the other time, I told us that when we run a program like this, we create 2 outputs. One output is this executable file that can be used by other human beings, and the second type of output is a dynamic link library, or a DLL, that has to be used by a computer. Yes. So that library will use it in this way by actually using the using statement. So we're using a library in there. Then in the second, the second statement that we want to look at here is the one on line 10. The one on line 10 also, but don't forget that, like we said, that without the semicolon, the statement is only an expression. So if we don't put semicolon, this line 4 will not be a complete statement. As you can see that the compiler has already underlined it and tell us that it's wrong. So we need the semicolon. We need the semicolon at the back, at the end of the statement to actually make it acceptable as a statement. Okay, so we talk about block, we understand what a block is. Now we talk about a statement. Don't forget how we define the statement also. We said a statement is an operand and an operator, yes? So here, the operator is using, and the operand is... Hello? I'm seeing someone, and we are hearing someone. Please mute your mic. Okay, so let's go on. So what we are saying is that this statement, line 4, is actually a statement, but it is connected to line 10, which is another statement. Okay. Okay, Brad Jola, please ask your question.
Yes, sir. You see the closing bracket number 12 and 14.
Yes.
How do I understand that it's not the closing bracket 12 is not meant for that 2, for the opening bracket 2 or 7?
So the way you understand is, if you, let's say it's not there, for us to make it or not be there, if we do this, you begin to see an exception. You begin to see see it tells you he expects. So the compiler itself is intelligent enough to tell you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the compiler is intelligent enough, but as a developer as well, you can help people and say, okay, I can come here and do something like say end of namespace. Some people do that, but really, I think it's dirty. I don't do it. Okay. End of class. Some people do that, but and then end of method. Okay, some people do that, but you don't have to. It's not. It just make your code crowded unnecessarily because it doesn't add anything. But the compiler will always it's called being guided by the compiler. Sometimes you rely on the compiler guidance, but yeah. So you also know that, like bracket, you can count the number of blocks and make sure that it's marked. So I can look at number 11. I know that number 11 will go with, because it's first in, last in, first out. So the last one is this. So the first one is that. The second to the last is this, and then the last to the last is that. So you can do that as well. Just count the number of your opening braces and make sure that your closing braces is the same number. Is that clear?
Yeah, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. So that is that about. But the next, before we go, I want us to move to the next step, which is to actually do something out. So I'm going to do the hello word in 1 minute. So the hello word is actually console. In most programming language, the first programming thing you learn is hello word, and I'm going to just do that now. So where you make a computer to write out the statement hello everyone, and that's exactly what we are doing now. So hello everyone. We are drawing from the same code that we use, console the right line that yeah. So now if we run this program now, it will display something. So if we do that, okay, so it should be hello. So this should be hello world. Hello world is what you write in most programming languages. When you are learning it, the first thing you learn is hello world, and that is our hello world program. So is this line 10, which we have just added, we are drawing from the library, from the system library. We are using the console command, and we are using the hello world. So those two programs. So let's take the first one that we had was GroundZero, and your second program. So let's say this is a second program, which is hello world. So you have 2 files, and you are going to name this file as, so you save it in your, as hello world.cs. That's this one. The previous one will be GroundZero.cs, which is the one that does not contain this, and you have the two files. Do we have any questions? Any further questions? Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to do the third program, which is just also like a brief. So just assume I have 3 programs that, so we've done the code 000, which is console.app. We talked about the fact that you save it as GroundZero.cs. Then we talked about namespace. We talked about the blocks, the blocks that are there, and then the statements. Now, this line, each of this line, we need to talk a bit more about them. You will find the word here, public, class, hello world. We can also have private class. Private class will only be available for methods which are within the usage, which are within the same package as the class. Whereas we also have protected. So apart from public, you can have private. You can have private. You can have protected, and that is called visibility. How visible, and then public. How visible the class is supposed to be. When you see these double backslashes, it's actually comment, and that computer is going to, the compiler will ignore that, and that's why it's green. Okay, so we have our hello world in here. So let's just wipe hello world, and then let's assume we have wipe hello world, and we'll start another program. So let's quickly, briefly write another program. I'll write a program that does simple addition. So let's call the class simple addition. Okay. So in the main class, so we're going to just say simply var first number equals 10, and var second num equals 20. And what we want to do is actually have a program that had these two together. So we're going to say var sum is equals to first num plus sec num. And then we are going to say, so this is not, so don't forget that this is a different program that we're writing now, different from the one we wrote before, sec num. And then we have to put a semicolon, don't forget that. And then we have our sum of 10 and 20 is, and then we just now add that together plus sum. If we do this, and then we do that, so let's do this. So this is a different program. We have, this is the third program that we are writing. You save it as simple addition dot, so saved as simple addition.cs. You can do that. Just save it like that in Notepad. And then if we run this program, what we will see, let's say we run this program, say the sum of 10 and 20 is 30. That is what we're looking at today. Okay. So we have looked at a simple program. We started with a simple program which does not do anything. Then we had another program which displayed hello world, and we have a third program which added 10 and 20 together and displayed the result. Do we have any question?
Is it being recorded?
I think so. It must be recorded, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so do we not have any question regarding to what we have learned? Do we have any question? This is understood. Who does not understand something, please just wave or just say.
So I just want to ask all these library things.
Yeah.
How do we know which one belongs to which? Like all this console.write line, console.read line.
Yeah, so
How do you know?
there are manuals. We use manuals. There are
Okay.
manuals. The compiler helps you, but there are manuals. So when you need to solve a problem and there's a particular thing that you need, for instance, there is also the math. There is math dot where you have square root, cosine, tangent, and other things. These are all libraries. They exist. You can just Google. You can Google them. You can Google any library you want, and you can also Google all the libraries. So you can look at the system. Depending on the problem you want to solve, you can always reference the library. There are also libraries that are built by other developers that are available for other developers to use, which you can get using NuGet package. So, yeah.
Okay.
And quick one as well. And just a quick one as well to the lady that was asking a question. In terms of the console.write line, I think your question was more to do with, if you look at what Uncle Bio did there, the using system at the very top, right? That is the main library, and that console.write line is part of that. It's inside that. So you're calling it from that.
Yeah, I'm calling both console.write line and console.read line from this system. That was why when I commented it out, there was an exception. If I comment it out like that, you see immediately that there's an exception. But I can then come here and say system. I can give the direct address, system.console, and then the system will still work. It's the same thing. But instead of repeating this system many times, because at times there's something we call dry, you don't want to repeat yourself. So in order to not repeat myself, if I do if I do this, if I do that, and then I remove this. So instead of writing system 3 times or 4 times, I wrote it just once, which will reduce the number of typing that I have to do. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
But you always go to the manual. You can always Google online resources to find which library is available for you to use to solve any problem that you need to solve.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So that is our class for tonight. We will be having another one on Saturday. I will have the invites out. So please give feedback if you feel that there's a way that you want something that you want to learn or something that a question that you have. Please feel free to just send me a text or ask me, and yeah, we'll get it done.
Okay.
Okay. See you guys on Saturday.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
What time on
Thank
Saturday?
you.
It's 10 o'clock.
10 p.m.
10 a.m.
Oh, okay. 10
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The time we had it the last time.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.